Welcome, everybody. Um, I'm going to start a new series with a couple of people that I know. I've been working and I'm researching on nakshatras with these people. And I'm going to start a series of interviews with these people. And I want to call this series as Whiteboard. So, what the series is going to be about is I'm going to invite these researchers in nakshatras to come and teach us some of the insights that they have been researching on these nakshatras, and I want them to share this with all of us. So today we have our first guest for this first class that we're going to start on the whiteboard, and our guest tonight is Kanholy Santhip Krishnan. Kanholy Santhip Krishnan is a PhD in mechanical engineering from Virginia Tech in United States of America. And he was one of our course participants on the Nakshatra course that I was teaching on. And he has been doing some very deep research into nakshatras. So welcome, Kanholy Santhip Krishnan. So tell me, Santhip, about something about yourself and tell me about your journey in Jyotish.
Thank you, Dr. Pai. It's an honor to be here because you're my first ever Jyotish teacher too. So it's an honor to be in your channel. With regard to my Jyotish journey, it was actually very, it's a funny story actually, because an astrologer told my father to tell your son to stop getting deep into Jyotish.
Okay.
So at this was about 2.5 years ago.
Right.
And the first time I was hearing it, I wasn't really into Jyotish at all. Like obviously the family would go and meet astrologers, but I wasn't really into Jyotish. But then when he said this, I was thinking, why would he say that? So PhD, I had lots of free time. As after my research, of course, a lot of my research were computer simulations. So I had lots of time to wait and things like that. So in my free time, I actually to slowly delve into Jyotish, and it began like every other new Jyotish learner out there by watching KR's videos, by reading through Barbara Pijan's webpage.
Fantastic.
Slowly, it grew, and I started talking with other Jyotishis or other enthusiasts in astrology. And slowly, the knowledge base grew, and I just kept on looking at charts. And luckily, I think one of the major breakthrough was when Rahu moved into Leo. Mm-hmm. When that happened, a friend of mine actually introduced me to Saptarishi Nakshatra course, and then I signed up for that. And then now it was just boom.
Okay.
It has been a really interesting journey in Nakshatra.
Okay. Fantastic. Santhip, tell us something about your researches in nakshatras. How did that all begin, and how, nakshatras are very, we've been discussing this, and for my viewers, I would like to share with my viewers that Santhip, and there is a group of researchers that we work on a day-to-day basis, and Santhip is a very active contributor in the discussions, and I've learned a lot from him through the discussions that we have on nakshatras. So Santhip, tell us, what is that, and how you have been studying nakshatras, how you've been learning nakshatras, how you've been training yourself. So tell us something so that, the viewers can also be able to take a cue from you, and, how can they commence this nakshatra, and where to start from, how to go about it. What would be those secrets that you want to share with us today?
With regard to nakshatras and Jyotish in general, the key thing is to develop your faculty of observation. Without observation, you can't enter into the intuitive space of mind. So that is the first thing you need to really develop. And with regard to nakshatras, what really happened was that I was merely observing my life events. And when I was it is it's funny now that I remember, because when I was taking the course each week, when I'm learning about certain natives with those kind of planets would just pop up. So it's as if when I started to learn about nakshatras, the more it was as if there was this kind of to and fro motion with life itself. So that was really interesting just to observe that. And later on, towards the end of your course, you actually gave a lot of nakshatra awareness exercises, which you are sharing now openly to the public. So that really helped to further it also.
Mm-hmm.
And I must say that with nakshatras, as far as you are observing things, you will learn things. That's it. Takes some time, but even if it takes time, it will just after some time it will just begin to talk to you, and it's really about entering into that intuitive space of mind, in my opinion. And there are obviously different techniques you can for that. Cut technique is one great technique because you're combining both visual and sort of logical kind of framework. Another technique is definitely just communicating with nature. That is one technique for sure.
Mm-hmm.
It may just be taking a walk and just observing what is happening around you. And you'll be actually surprised when you have that observation faculty on, you'll just begin to see things differently. And it can be just simple things like mythological stories, or one symbol is coming up in a movie show, or it's particular song is being played on YouTube just by chance, or it can even be just like the newspaper article on the day.
Yeah.
So it's like just to keep things simple, as long as you are observing things, I felt that that is the best way to learn nakshatras.
Yeah.
And I've been fortunate to actually read through some great nakshatra books, which has also enhanced the knowledge. But even if I read the books and if I didn't have the observation faculty, I wouldn't be learning at all.
Yeah.
So it is like the books will provide the pillar of support on which you can stand, but then the height to which you see depends upon your observation faculty itself.
Absolutely.
And so it's just to keep things simple. I'm actually honored to hear that you think that I am a good researcher, because most of the times I also feel that communicating with the other Jyotish enthusiasts, that definitely it's a learning thing. And I've been fortunate to have good friends, not just in the Nakshatra course, but also with other friends with whom I just communicate Jyotish continuously. Or whenever, it can be a silly thing like, okay, I dreamt about this thing, okay, this nakshatra is in this place, so there's some connection, or something silly, or something even deep. So it has been really interesting journey in that sense. So definitely having a community or just one or two people with whom you can work with and communicate nakshatra, that also definitely helps.
Yeah,
Though without observation, everything is zero. So
absolutely, I think I can agree with you on that, and it's not only with you, but we are a team that we work on some deep researches that we've been doing. And I remember one of our course participants, he kind of had this thing of looking at the nakshatra of the day, okay, at sunrise, and then he would go and look up at the newspaper, and the first kind of news is almost kind of, sometimes he says, is mostly linked with the nakshatra. So you can almost see these things, and also you mentioned about dreams, you mentioned about numbers, you mentioned about colors. So all of these have a significant meaning, and all of these, I feel, are connected to nakshatras, as you rightfully mentioned. So Santhip, can you tell us some instance, some experience that you can share with our people here today, is related to nakshatras, and for example a dream or something which happened in your life and related to a particular nakshatra, and how you could decode the nakshatra better? Maybe a short incident that must have happened in your life.
Yeah, I will just share one thing which happened recently. One of the nakshatras which I was having difficulty in really getting a grasp on it was Ardra Nakshatra. So I had to really, push it to the limit in some sense. So push it to the, it's funny because you are actually, it's not like you are striving for something, more letting go and entering into that open space. And what ended up happening was that so usually in the evening I watch some TV shows just to get some sleep for that. So one of the shows that popped up into my laptop was Doctor Who. And when I read about Ardra Nakshatra, about Rudra, and this like, so I was reading about Rudra and how Rudra was supposed to have been very a physician, and he was also an extreme kind of guy, and he was also his name was also Kal Bhairava.
Correct.
Kal Bhairava. And one of my friends who's a geek, literally. He's one of his favorite characters in Doctor Who was this class of species which Doctor Who belongs to called Time Lords. So like, when I was thinking about Ardra, suddenly out of nowhere, my friend's time instance came up. So I was thinking, how can you connect that with Ardra? But then when you actually think about it, you realize that Time Lord or Doctor Who, who's a Time Lord, can be translated to as Kal Bhairav or Kal Lord.
Yeah.
So immediately what I could see was that I just looked at a chart of the actor who was playing Doctor Who, and then you could see easily Ardra placements. And so immediately I could, once I had something to see and visualize, just to connect with, that really developed that understanding of the Ardra energy, because the character of Doctor Who itself is really a complex character, and he's itself is like a British institution. So that was actually one of the instances, and definitely many more, many more things. But it would be simple things like checking your Instagram feed, or like your Facebook feed, and then you are just clicking on something and it shows you some kind of connection. And sometimes the connection is really metaphorical. It's not direct, but sometimes the connection is really direct, and that's when it really hits you. Especially with Doctor Who, Rudra is asking, "Who am I?" So like you can't create a character better than
who?
Doctor Who. Yeah, who am I?
Who am I? That was the first thing Rudra asked whenever he was born. And he starts howling and crying, and he says, when Brahma asks him, why are you crying? He says, I do not know what my name is. So I do not have a name, and that is why I'm crying. And that is why it is called as Rudra. Ru means to cry. Okay, so that is how he was named Rudra. So Brahma gives him many names. Okay, but he chooses this particular name as Rudra, which he says, this name is what I would like to be called as. And very interesting points that you mentioned, Santhip, is about Kala Bhairav. And what I have also seen with the Kala Bhairav is the Kala Bhairav is usually seen with a dog. If you see the image of Kala Bhairav, okay, and Ardra Nakshatra, the animal symbol which is associated with Kala Bhairav, associated with the Ardra Nakshatra is a dog. It's a female dog. So you can see a lot of connections. So it's very interesting, and to see this, you're bringing this up about Doctor Who, you're talking about the character, you're talking about, so I think a lot of people would get the sense of how you can study nakshatras. It is not only the bookish knowledge, it's about literally seeing and connecting with things that are happening around you. So that is a brilliant point that you brought up. So tell us, Santhip, what are you going to teach us today? What is the lesson going to be? And maybe you
So
can
I'm just,
want to share your screen.
I just prepared a presentation on Bharani Nakshatra, but
Okay.
more like, let me see. So I'm sharing my screen. So can you see my screen?
Yeah, I can see your screen, Santhip.
Okay. So I just, actually today, I just want to share to the new people out there who are actually beginning on Jyotish, how to connect more with nakshatras and to actually help them and probably help them with a framework to approach nakshatras that can, if they feel stuck or if they feel like they are not connecting, it can be their own charts nakshatras too. So just one framework to approach the energy as such. So that's what I wanted to show, and I actually wanted to begin Bharani Nakshatra because Bharani Nakshatra is supposed to have been the last nakshatra.
Correct.
So one of the effective habits they say in Stephen R. Covey's book is to begin from the end. So it is always a good strategy in life, even from the end.
That's right.
So yeah, so I wanted to bring that kind of perspective initially, and then
Just to clarify for some of our viewers, in Atharva Veda, it's actually mentioned that Kritika Nakshatra is the first nakshatra, and
right.
Bharani Nakshatra is the last nakshatra. So just to add to what you've been saying, this is the last nakshatra. So for many of the new viewers, they always see Ashwini being the first nakshatra. So just to clarify that point, so
Yeah.
please carry on.
Yeah. Right. That's the main reason why Bharani is the last nakshatra and why I wanted to begin with Bharani itself.
Yeah.
So, and what I'm actually sharing today is just a perspective, way of looking at nakshatras. So, the first screen I actually have 3 animals, and the title is obviously Astral Traveling, Egypt and Halloween, and how you can connect that with Bharani Nakshatra, and some insights. But these 3 animals are interesting with respect to Bharani, because the first animal on the left side is the bear. The bear actually phonetically sounds similar to Bharani, and it's a topic which I'm researching in right now, which is I just wanted to put my research initially out there so that I can get more data. So if you viewers, if you feel anything you wish to share in the comments, feel free to share. That will provide us valuable data as a researcher. So the bear phonetically sounds similar to Bharani Nakshatra, and bear literally translates to bearing or to hold something. So Bharani natives will tend to bear a lot in general, and you can see the same phonetic implications on names as well. So like if say name has Bara, which has Bharani energy in it, slightly Bharani energy in it, Bara part, and similarly the name Bharat, for instance, Bara. So there is you can link some kind of Bharani energy to the phonetically similar sounding names as well. So that's the first point which I wanted to introduce with the bear. And then on the right side, you have elephant, which is the totem animal connected with Bharani. And elephant actually bears a lot. And elephant moves slowly as well. So elephant is also an intelligent animal, and it also has a large head. So interestingly, the body part associated with Bharani is also head. And Bharani natives can also display characteristics displayed by an elephant within social settings. For instance, elephant is a matriarchal animal. You have a main matriarch running the entire herd of elephants. So these natives can also act like a matriarch. And also, elephant is a slowly moving planet, slowly animal, sorry. So Saturn is debilitated in Bharani. So that kind of slowness can also be seen in elephant as well. Something. And the next thing is crow, which is a very versatile bird that you can ever find. It's a very versatile bird. And if you want to improve your Saturn, feeding crows is the best thing you can do. And crow is an animal that is associated with Bharani also. Not only being a term bird, but also connection to one of the keywords, key points of ancestors, which is present in Bharani. So that is the crow here. And from here on out, I'll be presenting a general perspective, a general simple way how to approach nakshatras and making better use of the information on nakshatras. So that's going to be the next slide. So yes, the screen is intentionally left blank. You are supposed to stay a blank screen right now. The main reason is because the sky, when you see the nakshatras, is without a black sky, you simply cannot see the nakshatras. Similarly, to perceive the nakshatra energies within you, your mind should be blank. Your mind should be like the sky. So your mind should be open, the mind should be calm, and the mind should also be, because when you are observed, you are not having a running mind. You have more of a quiet mind. Now, that's it. That is the first thing you need to have if you're studying a quiet and open and peaceful mind, and connecting with your primal nature within you, the quiet space within you. That is what you need to really, really connect with any nakshatras. So now I'll be showing you how a mind can perceive nakshatras. So in the screen, you're seeing an inverted triangle. You have the nakshatra energy at the center. And then you also have 3 other openings for the nakshatra energy. You can see the deity, you can see the mythology, and you can see the symbols associated with the nakshatra energy. So when you talk about an energy, you have to think holistically. You cannot think in terms of separating a deity or separating a mythology or separating a symbol. Just like in life, everything comes to. So you have to approach nakshatras as almost at a holographic way of looking at things. Because in a holograph, everything is connected. So we live in a really connected universe, at least at the deepest levels of consciousness. So when we live in a connected space, definitely the deeper aspects of the universe will be connected completely with us as well. So nakshatra energies has to be approached holistically, and best way is to combine all the different aspects of nakshatras, specifically the deity, the mythology, the symbol associated with the nakshatras. By deity, I mean every nakshatra is associated with a particular nakshatra devata. By mythology, I am meaning the mythological stories that can be associated with that particular deity. And by symbol, which is the key. Symbol is actually connecting the deity and mythological stories into our physical reality. Mm-hmm. So to understand the symbol is like opening up, it's like the key with which you are opening up the locker presented by the nakshatra energy. So now with the holistic view of the nakshatras, you are going into the level, which is Nakshatra Awareness level, in which you are developing your awareness of these nakshatras by looking through these particular points of view. You are looking at nakshatra energy through the deity. You are connecting with the deity and you are connecting with the nakshatra energy. Then you are contemplating on the mythological stories that are associated with it. You are seeing how those mythological stories are befitting the deity or qualities of the deities. And then you're combining and seeing how it comes into the physical reality through the symbol. And to to really get nakshatras, you have to be thinking at the level of symbols. Most of our behavior is defined by the subconscious state of mind, and the subconscious state of mind can easily understand the symbol. Like if I show any Manchester United fan the logo of the Manchester United T-shirt, immediately everyone will, hey, what's up? His buddies. But the same thing is actually with nakshatras as well. So you have to really penetrate into that symbolic state of consciousness. That is why you have to contemplate on the symbols as well. So now you have in your field of awareness the entire nakshatra energy present within you. But how you perceive the nakshatra energy will be through the three open spaces I'm showing here. The first space of how to perceive energy is through the festivals and rituals that are associated with the nakshatra. Each nakshatra will have some kind of ritual associated with it. That will open up and give you clues as to how to approach nakshatras. Similarly, the festivals also give you big clues. I actually learned a lot about nakshatras using this festival concept. For instance, the same Ardha Nakshatra itself, we have something that's known as Tiruvadira Nattuela. Tiruvadira is the Malayalam name of Ardra Nakshatra. So
I think
Ardra Nakshatra is
the same name even in Tamil, I think. Tiruvadirai.
That is right. Yeah, that is right. Yeah, Tiruvadira is actually, to quote Professor A.V. Sundaram here in one of the videos, he mentioned how Tiruvadira is like, Tiru means special, and As is Ardra. So it's special Ardra time. You know, if Ardra natives are there, you're special because you're Ardra. So special Ardra time. So Tiruvadira is that. And during Tiruvadira time, when sun enters into Tiruvadira Nakshatra, the seeds of black pepper is actually planted. So and that is supposed to be the best time to plant the black pepper seeds. And interestingly, black pepper is the plant that is associated with Ardra. So it is like if you know the festival that is associated with the Ardra Nakshatra, you can get good harvest of black pepper.
Yes.
So, yeah, and so that is, festivals and rituals are really, I'll be touching on one simple festival through this, towards the end of this presentation. Now, the second way to approach this nakshatra energy would be to look at the themes and patterns. So the festivals and rituals are emerging from the combination of deity and mythology. So the mythology is contributing to the rituals. Whereas the themes and patterns are really interpreted when you combine the deity and the symbols associated with Bharani Nakshatra or any nakshatra, for instance. So different deities and symbols will point to different themes and different patterns of how that event can take place. And when you see a repeating pattern, then it makes sense to either repeat it if it is beneficial, or if you see a pattern associated with a symbol, it makes sense to let go of it or to transmute it to better patterns of energy, which is perfectly possible and which we are all capable of once we begin to connect with nakshatra energy. So that is the themes and patterns, one way of approaching nakshatra energy. And the third way is what I'm calling as space-time events, or essentially all kinds of events. You have to really approach nakshatra as space-time energies. You have to really, cannot simply think of nakshatras as associated with a particular event or at a particular instant of time. You have to have a more holistic view and look at the space around that time. And you literally begin to connect nakshatras with space as well. This is where the direction of the nakshatras becomes really important, because over time you just begin to see things accumulating at particular direction easily. Like for instance, in my southwest direction of my room, I always find that Rahu I always kind of end up at the southwest direction of my room. Like all the electrical phone cable wires or like all my mobiles, things like that. So that similarly, even nakshatras can show you a directional element. And sometimes it can really refer to a space where this nakshatra energies is really, really active. That is another aspect which I'll touch in this presentation later on also. So now you have a framework of how to approach nakshatra energies. You can use this framework, the data for each nakshatra energy, and then make use of this framework and develop your own nakshatras and understand the energies in a much better fashion. So now I'm going to use this framework and apply this framework on Bharani Nakshatra. So let's go into that. So here in Bharani Nakshatra, you see Bharani Nakshatra at the center, and you have deity on the left. You have the myth on the right, mythological stories associated with the deity, and the symbols associated with Bharani Nakshatra. That is pointed at the bottom. And I'm going to touch on all of these aspects in a brief manner, just so as to show you the way, so that you can actually do it yourself and develop yourself more. So the things which I say will be really, really simplistic. But once you get this framework and once you begin to connect these nakshatra energies, it's going to really, really pop out to you. So the deity with Bharani Nakshatra is Yama, the god of death. You can see Yama is riding a bull here. He's carrying a weapon. And he's really, he's really restrained. He's not an easy guy you would want to talk to. But even though he may have a mountain of compassion flowing within him, but he's not an immediate person you would want to approach to. So that is one thing you would see with Yama here. Now look at the symbols associated with Bharani. One of the main symbols associated with Bharani is the female reproductive system, or the yoni in Sanskrit, and even Hindi as well. So the female reproductive system is symbolic of the creative potential that is available in Bharani energy. So a mother is producing a child. To produce a child, it's not an easy thing. You have to have potential to produce a child. A father alone cannot produce a child. Only a mother can produce a child.
Correct.
So there is a big importance of creative potential energy that is resting within female reproductive system. And that is what the symbol is actually meaning. And this inverted triangle is actually a symbol used in Tantric and Shakta traditions as a yantra to contemplate upon the Shakti. So Shakti representing the feminine principle of the universe. So that is one symbol. Now I'm going to briefly discuss three mythological stories. Dr. Pai has already discussed main stories with his interview with Kapil Raj. But for the sake of this presentation, I'm going to briefly discuss three stories. First mythological story is how Yama and Yama twins born together from sun god and Sanjana, his wife. So that is the myth that is with Bharani. Second myth is the Lord Yama becomes the first mortal to reach heavens, and he becomes the king of Pitraloka. Pitraloka is the world of our ancestors. Pitrus are ancestors. He is the first one to reach there. He becomes the king of the Pitraloka. And there's other stories that is and once he becomes the king of the Pitraloka, the entire empire expands. But that's a completely different take on the story, and another extension of the story. Now, however, Yami, his twin sister, grieves Yama's death. That is a mythological story associated. She becomes worried. So you have, in simplicity, you have three mythological stories. Like literally the stories you would read on any Amar Chitrakatha comic book novel. particularly for Yama. So the next step is to combine or extract keywords out of all these elements of nakshatra energy. So the purpose of extracting keywords is to show you how you can use bits of nakshatrans and how you can use that to view different nakshatra awareness subjects. So as I mentioned here, there are lots of keywords that can come immediately once you look at these symbols of nakshatra energies. If you look at god of death, Yama, who is the lord of death, the first keyword you extract is death. The second keyword you can extract is the dead spirits, because only the dead spirits would be the ones whom Yama would be dealing with.
Correct.
He isn't really dealing with the live ones.
Yeah, the mortals.
And then you can see buffalo, which is another keyword. And the fourth keyword you can extract is weapons. So these are elements of the deity which you acted based on simple options. So what are the themes that are present in this deity? What are that are represented by the deity? That is what this exercise is all about. You're extracting keywords. Let's look into the symbol of Bharani, which is a female reproductive system, and try to extract some keywords. As I mentioned before, mother is an easy keyword you can extract.
Correct.
Because mother produces a child. Now, fertility is another keyword you can extract. Because a fertile woman is the only one who can bring children into our reality. However, fertility itself is a huge concept. Plants can be fertile. Animals can be fertile. Even company fertile with imagination, with money, with products, anything. So fertility is a huge, huge keyword. Now the third keyword is birth. So birth is like you are creating something new. A new child is coming in through the mother. So birth of a new idea, birth of new something that this world has never seen before. Now another word is purification. One of the medical facts is that one of the best things for a woman to do to get completely healthy is to get pregnant and to deliver a baby. Because once she is pregnant and once she is delivering a baby, all her toxins from the body is removed by nature to bring in new life. And once she brings in the new life, all that toxins are removed and her body is completely pure, back to a natural state. So that is nature's gift of purification, which was by virtue of her female reproductive system. So that is one set of keywords which you can extract from the symbol.
And Santhip, it's very interesting to note that you talk about purification. And look at the Shakti of this nakshatra. It's called as Apa Bharani Shakti. Is to cleanse and to take, the toxins away or to take things away from you. So that is Apa Bharani. Apa means water. So again, it's very symbolic and it's very important to understand that this purification and cleansing and, getting rid of unwanted things in life is very strongly connected with Bharani. So I'm glad that you're pointing this out and this keywords that you're talking about. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So it's these waters of purification are actually fertile too. That's one thing which I'll just briefly mention it right now. Because rivers actually carry forth fertile waters, So
Correct.
That is one thing. One thing which I just wanted to mention, it should be immediately clear as soon as I show you the keywords that can be extracted from the mythological stories. So from the first keyword you can extract is twins from the first story. So Bharani natives can have something to do with twins. If they have third lord of siblings in Bharani, they may have, or some other twin kind of effect can happen. Now from the second story you have multiple keywords being first mortal. So Yama was the first mortal to reach heavens. So the Bharani natives can be extremely pioneering, and they can create something totally new, because they may literally die in the process, because they have created something new, because they are mortal and they reach heavens. They reached an elated place, and they became the king of Pitraloka. So they can, or the ancestral world. So natives are kingly by themselves.
Yeah.
They can have kingly characteristics. They can literally be kings. So this nakshatra energy has an element of kings in it. Now, Pitraloka, they become the king of Pitraloka. They became king of the ancestral world. So the ancestor element is also very important. So it can literally mean that Bharani natives are connecting with ancient traditions, ancient
Absolutely.
philosophies.
Fantastic.
They can connect with ancient energies or the family ancient traditions, very, very ancient traditions. Or because of this connection with ancestors, or who are simply the ancient ones. And then the final keyword from the story is simply a river, because Yami became a river after Yama's death. So river is an important keyword. As I mentioned, that rivers can carry fertile sand, and it helps in planting crops and create good products of food. Without rivers, there is no food. So that is one aspect. So now with these keywords, you are going to approach the nakshatra energy so that you can extract meaning out of it. So let's going to enter into the next step. Here, I'm calling this step as simply keyword analysis. You have nakshatra themes in the center. You have the Bharani energy at the center. You have Yama, the deity. You have the myths associated. You have the symbol of Bharani. And now you are simply pasting all the keywords around it. The keywords death spirit, the fertility, first whatever. All of these are keywords. But the way these keywords connect to the nakshatra energy are through the same three things which I mentioned before, which is festivals and
Rituals.
So these keywords will connect with festivals and rituals associated with particular nakshatras. Similarly, the themes and patterns will be evident when you apply these keywords upon the deity and the symbol, and those events or those actives or even a particular energy or a pattern of energy. When you apply these keywords upon these kind of space-time events, then you will begin to connect with nakshatra energy. And obviously the third aspect is space-time events itself, which I mentioned. Space-time events, like I mentioned, can be spaces or time events. It can be literally space events, or it can be time events. So that is one way to look and approach it. Because one thing we have to understand is that all the planets are executing a gravitational force. All the planets are literally curving the space-time. So obviously the nakshatras are helping out in the background to curve the space-time through its gravitational force. But as the space-time energies manifest into the physical plane, you will literally see effects upon space and times as well. So this is something really interesting. And the big circle is actually representing the nakshatra awareness and the astrological principles. So using the nakshatra awareness exercises, whatever it be, like you can be observing, reading the newspaper, watching a TV show, keeping an open mind, talking with a friend, anything. And astrological principles, you are obviously looking at the planets. You're looking at what the tithi of the day is. You're looking at what the nakshatra of the day is, where your astrology is transiting through. Things like is moon passing through any particular house like that. So those are this is a good way of approaching nakshatra energy. And I'm going to show how we can use these keywords and analyze Bharani energy furthermore. So I'll begin with the keyword of dead spirits. So dead spirits is an interesting keyword because when I talk about deaths, usually people may have, they may be in fear. They may be like, okay, it's a ghost. I should be scared of ghosts. But if you approach it in an alternate fashion, the dead spirits are supposed to reside in the astral world. And normally, when you go to sleep, every day, you are literally, as per the scriptures, you are accessing the astral world when you go to sleep. So, Bharani natives can really be interested in astral travel, and they can often receive very, very transformative dreams, as dreams happen in astral world. So, astral traveling, because dead spirits reside in there, the Bharani native can easily connect with the dead spirits. So they may be involved in astral traveling. They may be very eager about astral traveling. They may be the astral travel hackers, or dream hackers as it's known. And they may have transformative dreams, because Bharani is really the Shakti of upper birth, is transformative Shakti.
Transformation, correct.
So the natives can literally have really, really interesting dreams and insightful dreams. So that is one element which we extracted from the dead spirits. Now in pop culture right now, when I talk about dead spirits, it's not immediately clear. People will be like, okay, what are you talking about? But we talk about vampires, ghosts, or mummies. It's very, very easy to connect with, because there are TV shows out there right now. So many vampires, ghosts, and mummies are out there. It's out there, and easily you can forget the fact that you are actually talking about dead spirits when you're talking about vampires and mummies. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to analyze charts of certain natives that can be associated with vampires and mummies. And I'm going to bring out the Bharani energy in those charts. So the first is that of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. So Buffy was played by Sarah Michelle Gellar. That show is already run its course. But the interesting thing about the character is the character Buffy Summers is actually fighting occult foes or occult enemies, and she's facing a lot of supernatural occurrences, lot of ghosts, lot of vampires, plenty of supernatural occurrences. And it's actually one of the hit shows that was directed by Joss Whedon, who is associated with the Avengers series, who directed Avengers series. And he also directed Firefly for all those Firefly fans out there. Now you also have Buffy Summers is the name of the character. And interesting thing is that when sun is transiting through Aries, it is summertime. So the character, but sun in her chart is no Bharani. Sun in her chart is in Ashwini. But you can still see the presence of sun there, her name, which is Buffy Summers. But then when you look into her chart, you can see Mercury is in Bharani. Mercury is her 8th lord of death, healing, transformation. And Mercury is also the Amatya Karka of career.
Yeah, the MK.
Yeah. And the 3rd house is associated with media. Not only that, he is aspecting Rahu, which is also associated with media. So naturally, she entered into a TV series, and Mercury is in Bharani energy, and her TV shows had to be dead spirits or vampires. And once she connected to the Bharani energy, once that started to happen, it became one of the biggest hits.
Biggest hits, yeah.
Biggest hits that has ever been. Especially, Peter was going through a lot of high school issues, high school problems with high school issues. And then she also had the side of vampires and killing all the villainous vampires as well. So once she connected with the Bharani energy, with Bharani kind of events, things just became great for her. The character ended up being recognized as 100 greatest female characters, and then it won the Best Saturn Award like that. So this is see how the energies are playing. And also you can notice Ketu is connected with spirits and getting rid of spirits. And Ketu is in its own nakshatra of Ashwini, related with healing. And Sun is her seventh lord of public fame also.
Yeah.
So everyone now associates Sarah Michelle Gellar as Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Yeah.
So this is one Bharani energy you clearly see in this native.
And I think with this example, Santhip, you can very clearly show the connections. I think you've beautifully done that by showing how, this character that you play, and many of the themes that I've seen, Santhip, is sometimes many of those themes come on, maybe on television, on cinema. So those characters that you play in cinema would have a very strong connection with your chart. And I think that is what you're trying to bring out with this example. I think it's a very excellent example that you've given us.
Right. That's a very, very interesting point which you actually raised, because Rahu is connected with illusion, and media is obviously illusion. And they say Rahu is the reason why you actually take birth.
Correct.
So Rahu should be responsible for our karma in some way. Yeah. So the media should be playing our karma, or should provide a framework for our karma to actually be expressed, especially for an actor. And that's actually a great astrology as well. So you're connecting with Rahu too.
Rahu, exactly. And you can see in her chart here, you can see it is Rahu's 7th aspect is on her Mercury.
Right.
And this 7th aspect, and you see her Lagna Lord, which is Saturn, also with his 10th aspect, aspecting her Mercury. So that these two are fortifying kind of a chart for what you're saying. And its third house is the house of acting. Third house is about expressions, so communication, expression. So it's all is adding up, and it shows beautifully how this example that you've taken matches up with the energy.
Yeah, the Saturn's aspect is really, really powerful, because Saturn is debilitated in Bharani. So any involvement of Saturn with Bharani is going to amplify the Bharani energy for sure.
Correct, absolutely.
And even as you have discussed before in the Saturn influencing Bharani, even if it isn't aspecting to.
Yeah.
But that's a topic which anyone can research and find out. For sure. So now we'll go into the next chart, which is the Mummy. So as I mentioned, Brendan Fraser starred in the hit movie The Mummy, and he plays an American adventurer who's a swashbuckling kind of character, who is he obviously served in the Foreign Legion, and he is facing the villain who's the enemy priest of the mummy, which comes back alive. So the priest is played by Voslu, that's his name. His character's name is Imhotep. If you analyze his chart, you can see Ascendant Lord Mars is entering into 6th house of enemies. And you can see Mars is conjunct Jupiter, which is representing a priest. And Ketu, which is representing someone who is very ancient. So he is literally fighting an ancient priest in the movie The Mummy. And that is how it is playing out through his chart as well. And not only that, this is happening in a foreign land of Egypt.
Yeah.
So Nakshatra Lord of Bharani is going, Venus, is going into 9th house of foreign lands.
Yeah.
So he had to fight an ancient priest to play out his karmas. And at the end, which is really, really symbolic of Bharani energy, is when Rick O'Connell, the character he plays, it throws Imhotep into the river of death. So as I mentioned before, river is a key word associated with. And also the Greek god of death, Hades, is associated with the river Styx. And Vaiterani is the river associated with Yama too.
Yeah, correct. Correct.
However, even just by getting on the idea of Yamuna being a river and that being a keyword, you can still extract these kind of information.
Absolutely.
So now we'll go into another theme that I saw that is really interesting with Bharani.
Reverse.
Yes, rivers. So this is an image of the Valley of the Dead that is in Egypt. This red dash, the blue thing is the Nile River, and the red arrow is showing the Valley of the Dead in Egypt. And what the Valley of the Dead is actually called as the Valley of the Kings. So the Valley of the Dead actually contains ancient tombs of many Egyptian kings. There are many dynasties and generations of kings who are buried there. So immediately the keywords kings should come up. Ancient should light up.
Yeah.
Dead. The Valley of the Dead itself is a big clue. That immediately the Bharani theme should light up. So there are many Valley of the Dead around the world. There are many. Tibet has a Valley of the Dead. Spain has a Valley of the Dead. China has a Valley of the Dead. But for this example, I'm only going to refer to the Egyptian Valley of the Dead. And it's really interesting how to see Bharani energy is operating with frameworks. So I just want to introduce you to this Valley of Dead concept here. Now we are going to enter into interpreting the symbols of Bharani energy using a special keyword extracted from the symbols. You can see the keyword fertility is associated with the symbol of Bharani, which is the female reproductive system. It's a very straightforward keyword extraction. Or if you observe it, you can see the inverted triangle that I briefly mentioned before, which is the yantra used in Tantric and Shakta traditions, symbolic of Shakti or the creative feminine principle of the universe. So the shape of the reproductive organ is similar to that of an inverted triangle. Obviously, the womb, the actual uterus, is similar to closely resembling an inverted triangle. Now, the Shaktites, people who are Shakta tradition, use this inverted triangle as a yantra to meditate upon the feminine principle, the mother principle of the universe, so that they can connect deeply with the mother aspect and achieve enlightenment. However, I want to really bring out the inverted triangle again here because it is really interesting how you can approach these symbols. As before, we can approach symbols sometime metaphorically. So an ancient valley can become a metaphorical symbol of Bharani energy. Sometimes you can actually approach the symbols literally.
Yeah.
Like almost literally, exactly as is.
Yeah.
So inverted triangle is the delta operator in physics and maths. Mathematicians use delta operator to suggest differentiation operation. And there is but delta also change, which is another feminine principle.
Yeah.
In our old +1+2 physics classes, we must have learned delta, a lot of delta in our lives at that point of time. So this inverted triangle or the delta can be connected with the female reproductive system or essentially to Bharani. And this keyword of fertility is going to show this in a different way. Now, what we are looking at the Nile River Delta. Now, as I mentioned before, delta is the inverted triangle.
Correct.
You're seeing the Nile River in the nighttime. You have desert on either side. And then you see an inverted triangle as the Nile River approaches the ocean. you can see the inverted triangle clearly here in this image. It's showing how fertile this region of Nile River Delta is. In fact, this is second most biggest delta in the world. And the region is so fertile that you have one river. Immediately it is creating new rivers. And it is creating new farms. And it's very fertile with the floods or the waters that purify, waters that bring in new creative potential. Floods that are associated with the Nile River. And this plain is really virgin. So that is one interesting thing. So you can associate Bharani energy with deltas. Literally, you can associate spaces, geographical spaces of deltas. So now the biggest delta in the world is the Sundarban's delta region. You have, it is the delta formed by river Ganga, the Ganges river, which is flowing downwards, and Brahmaputra joins it downwards. And interesting thing is that you can see the same delta shape, the inverted shape, but this time the triangle is more or less straightforward. It's more or less upright.
Great.
But the same shape is still present in this delta region. And initially you would think like deltas can represent potentially Bharani energy. So now the other themes that can be associated with Bharani energy should also show up if Bharani is present in that place. So one of the biggest clue about that is the Nakshatra Kali temple, which is literally forming on the western edge of the delta region in Kolkata region. And as I mentioned before, the Kali yantra is associated with Bharani. And an alternate deity associated with Bharani is also Kali.
Exactly.
Because Yamaraj is known as Kal.
Kal, yeah.
And Kali is known to be his consort.
Yeah.
So when you see Kali, you can immediately associate something with Bharani there. So, and this the Dakshineshwar Kali temple is very famous because of one particular devotee, Ramakrishna Paramahamsa.
That's correct.
He was the guru of Swami Vivekananda, but he literally brought out his deep devotion to Kali at this location, at this particular temple. And that is really showing the Bharani energy in this region or deltas in general. So you can actually expand this astrologically, and you can actually make a claim that if you have any 9th house or 12th house of foreign land connection or foreign travel connection with Bharani, you will be visiting either Egypt, or you will be visiting Kali temples, or you will be visiting deltas.
Wow, this is fantastic. I think this is a very new insight, and for all of us, I think this is brilliant, what you have said. 9th house, 12th house, and I would also include 3rd house, because 3rd house is about short travels, and 9th house is about pilgrimages, and 12th house is about long distance travel. So I think this is a very brilliant point that you brought out, Santhip. About Kali, about rivers, about deltas, about fertility. I think beautiful. Yeah.
Right.
Please go ahead.
The Sundarbans is actually the most fertile region in the world too. There's so much agriculture happening there, and similarly, in simpler terms, the natives will be interested in Egyptian pyramids, or they may be simply interested in Kali in general. If they have especially 9th house or 12th house connection, they will feel some kind of connection with Kali, the warrior goddess, or even simply the Egyptian pyramid. They would. So the way I came to this information was actually because I talked with a friend of mine who went to Egypt, and we found that this friend of mine had a planet in Bharani Nakshatra in the D9 chart.
Okay.
But I wouldn't want to go into the D9 chart because it's slightly more advanced. But But if you see it in Rashi chart, you can be almost certain that this is this is really, really possible.
Correct.
The natives may have some kind of fascination, triangles, deltas, or literally the geographical deltas.
Yeah.
Now this is one example of the space-time event which I described in previous slide. Now I'm going to enter into how you can analyze or connect with nakshatra energy using festivals. So one of the more popular festivals right now that's happening in
the West.
In the West right now is Halloween. And Halloween is when in the West, especially in the US, UK, it's the time when kids dress up as any costumes they like to wear. Like, they may be Spider-Man, they may be Iron Man,
yeah,
even be like a ghost or anything like that, and they go to different houses where they ask for sweets and things like that. And usually in this time, you get a lot of discount on sweets too, if you're buying from supermarkets, because of the same reason. And Halloween is, festival Halloween is associated with the return of the dead spirits, specifically your relatives and the saints. So the saints are the ones who have halos. So they have the around them. And Halloween is actually supposed to be called as All Hallows Eve, or when the eve of when all the hallows come back.
Correct.
And you can see that the origin of this Halloween is coming from a harvest festival, Celtic traditions, especially with pagan roots.
Yeah.
So it's a harvest festival which is associated with fertility, which, as we discussed before, is a keyword associated with Bharani.
Yes, absolutely.
So the Halloween has its origin in harvest festival. So you can think about Halloween as having some kind of connection with Bharani potentially, just out of sense alone. Now, if you begin to astrologically analyze, you can see that on Halloween evening, say this coming Halloween evening, when the sun sets in October 31st, the sun is actually in Swati, which is ruled by trickster Rahu. And Halloween is associated with trick or treat.
Correct.
And costumes.
Fantastic.
Rahu is illusions. So you are literally, the kids are costumes.
Yeah.
To celebrate Halloween. But if you look at the position of sun is in Swati, and Swati is directly opposite to Bharani. Because 14 degrees is the location, is the position of the sun, and Bharani Nakshatra is directly opposite in Aries, extends from 13 degrees 20 minutes to 26 degree 40 minutes.
Correct.
So 14 degrees is in between that degree. So nakshatras opposite to Bharani evoke Bharani energy.
Yeah.
And the astral reason can be simplified as the nakshatras that is in 7th house.
Yes.
Opposite to the consideration can activate that original nakshatras as well. And this is actually a very, very interesting topic which I'm researching. I found incredible insights just from this simple principle.
Yeah.
And to further extend the connection between Swati and in one of your previous videos, you actually mentioned how animal Swati is buffalo, which is the mount of Yama.
Yeah.
And Ma is the deity of Bharani. Thereby you are implying a connection between Bharani and Swati.
Correct.
So here you are seeing Bharani energy is getting activated through a particular festival. And when you analyze the festival, you are able to the origin of that festival within the Bharani energy. So that's so far. And just to conclude, just to summarize the main points, quite simply, Bharani plays, especially focal planet placements, Lagna Lord, Lagna, Sun, Moon, focal planet placements in Bharani can have some connection with astral traveling. They can have some kind of spiritual or spirit encounter, potential, and they can also be in shamanism, because shamans are the ones who regularly deal with dead spirits.
Correct.
And then you also have Rahu. One thing you can be sure is if Rahu or Venus or Sound House is associated with Bharani, the costumes which the natives will be wearing in Halloweens will be that of dead spirits.
Wow.
They may be the natural vampires. They may be the natural mummies. They may dress up as Egyptian kings or Cleopatra or Tutankhamun or anyone along those lines.
Fantastic.
Because Rahu is connected with costumes, and Venus is again connected with costumes. And Sound House is how you perceive others.
Brilliant.
How others perceive you. Yeah. So that is one interesting thing you can obviously observe. So if you are
also, Santhip, if you see from the Halloween, every year Halloween is celebrated on the 31st of October.
Right.
When the sun seems to be almost into debilitation, it's pretty close to its deep debilitation, around 10 degrees or 14 degrees. So it kind of says that the soul is depleted. So that's what Halloween is about. You said it's about a return of the departed souls, Right. And again, you can see the connection with Bharani, where, Yama is the king of the ancestors. So it's all about Pitris we're talking about. So again, Halloween is again another festival when the sun has moved into right opposite to Bharani, and the soul is depleted or soul is debilitated. That is when, the soul is coming back. So I can see a lot of connections with what you are trying to teach us today. So brilliant. And I like this idea where Venus being connected or Rahu being connected with the 7th house association with Bharani can have these people wanting to wear the, costumes of dead spirits or pharaohs and Cleopatra. Brilliant. I think that is a very, very great insight.
Right. In fact, actually, if you observe Egyptian headgear, normally the Cleopatra's headgear is like this big. It's like a big headgear.
Correct.
And now that is resembling the elephant head.
Yeah, I can see that. Big head, yeah.
And normally these natives love wearing big headgears. They may be into wearing like the ones you see in Brazil's grand festival.
Yeah.
Them wearing
Samba.
headgears. Yeah, samba. Those kind of. Yeah, and then similarly, you can see there is a Russian headgear which is huge.
Yeah.
And I've seen specifically if you just do research on headgears alone, you will be able to get more close into Bharani.
Fantastic.
And in fact, one of the biggest clues about Bharani is the totem animal, the elephant. This is what struck me the most, because I use Evernote, and Evernote has the symbol of an elephant with a trunk, and it advertises itself your brain. Let's carry your brain. So all of this is like connecting to Bharani things again, the elephant head. So, and that's literally what you do. You just put everything on Evernote. That's how it's used to.
Yeah.
Like Evernote bears a lot of information. So that's one way which I found that was really into, because that was one of the things that was like, oh my God, wow. Just to summarize.
Do you think something might be connected to even your cloud computing and things like that? Because you support bearing. So Bharani might have that energy of people wanting to move unwanted stuff. You would move your stuff to the cloud, so that so maybe I see maybe there might be a Bharani energy, because whatever things that you don't want to keep it on yourself, you want to move to the cloud. And cloud is like the elephant, and you want to stuff things on the elephant, which is huge in size. So I don't know whether if that connection also brings you into the Bharani energy.
Yeah, the cloud would be really, really interesting, because then you can actually analyze many lot more things, because I think from what I think is that clouds can be actually connected with air signs and Rahu for deeply with cloud computing, because you have Rahu. This Rahu is obviously digital devices and stuff like
Correct.
that.
Correct.
But Rahu rule nakshatras, they can be really showing how your head is an illusion.
Correct.
So your what you what you call what you call your computer is actually an illusion, because it's not carrying anything in the end. So in that sense, Rahu should have some kind of connection with cloud computing. Definitely Bharani too, and with Bharani obviously
With Swati
deeper. Yeah, Swati. Because right, Swati connected with Bharani. So again, you have Bharani and Swati, and then Rahu ruled Ardra Nakshatra and Rahu ruled Satabisha Nakshatra. All these can be definitely. All these are air signs also.
Yeah.
And definitely Bharani through Swati also, because it's the opposite.
Opposite. Yes.
But do you think anything? Do you think anything else can be cloud? Because clouds bring.
I was thinking about cloud computing from a perspective of, even if you look at Ardra, I'm just thinking out loud. I don't see that there might be a connection. I'm just thinking out loud. Is if you look at Ardra, again, is Rahu ruled, and opposite is Moola Nakshatra. Moola means the root. So you want to move everything to your roots, right? So you might say my cloud computing is my center resource, where I just want to keep offloading things. Similarly, if you look at Shatabisha Nakshatra, okay, so right opposite, what do you have? You have Purva Falguni.
Right.
Yeah, Purva Falguni. Yeah, so
and
it
Maga.
is. Yeah, and Maga. So you see again that connection with Pitris and Pitrus and all of that coming with Maga and Purva Falguni there. So Maga is again ancestors. So again, you're wanting to move towards the opposite nakshatra. So that's what I was trying to see, if there was some connection between Rahu nakshatras and the nakshatras opposite, and some connection with cloud computing. I'm just thinking out loud.
Yeah, as you mentioned those, one thing that came into my mind was how Rudra is the god of storms.
Correct.
So storms carry cloud.
Cloud, yeah, correct.
So definitely there is one direct connection to clouds there. So
and even with Maga Nakshatra, if you know the root word Maghavan was a reference to Indra, and Magha, the word Magha in Sanskrit means cloud.
Oh, okay, interesting.
Yeah, Magha means cloud in Sanskrit. Okay, and Indra was called as Maghavan. Maghavan means the king of the clouds. That was Indra's name. So again, you see the connection with the Magha Nakshatra, which is clouds, and again with this, and again you're looking at thunder. Rudra is ruler of the thunderstorms and lightnings, and then you see Moola Nakshatra this side. So, and even with if you look at Swati as well, Swati is about independent. It's Vayu.
Right.
So Vayu is, you can kind of, you can box Vayu. If it doesn't move around, you can box Vayu. So kind of very, very weird themes, but I think this is great that we had this discussion.
Yeah, this add on to Maga, the word Mega is also cloud.
Mega, yeah, Mega, that's what I meant. Mega means cloud, yeah. And he was called as...
And Lord Indra is the god of rain.
Rain.
So he again clouds.
What you have to know is Shatabisha is ruled by Varuna. Varuna is called the god of oceans and salt water. But Indra, the opposite, Megha or Magha, whatever you call it, although it is not associated with Indra, I'm just saying it is associated with Pitras, but Megha is associated with fresh water. Okay?
Right.
And, unsalted water, which is fresh water, and rains. So Indra is associated with rains and fresh water. Varuna is associated with oceans and salt water.
Right. Interesting. Yeah, that's definitely really, really interesting. It's really, it's because you are literally living out the nakshatra into like your daily life, and you can really connect with that.
Absolutely. So,
Yeah, just to
yeah, go ahead, Sandeep.
yeah.
You were just trying to wrap up. Sorry, I cut you
Oh no
short,
no oh,
but
no
please
oh,
go
no
ahead.
no. That was great discussion. Thank you for that. That was great stuff because I'm literally learning myself. So
We are all
always
learning. Even I am learning from you. So great. Yeah, go ahead. Carry on.
yeah. So and like I mentioned, how natives with a strong Bharani with focal planets there can end up visiting regions with many rivers or deltas
Correct.
or a connection and feel strong connection with the Egyptian pyramids or with Kali. And in fact, there is the whole pyramid movement is a big movement now. Like using pyramids in your house. So
Yeah.
natives may also be into pyramids literally. That's also possible. And then connection with ancient spirits, ancient systems of knowledge, tombs. That's also possible. And remedy that was really from what I've seen is worship of and also pranayam or breath restraint practices. So because word restraint
Yeah.
or yama is the same as the word restraint. So yeah, you normally associate yamas and niyamas in yoga, especially in Ashtanga yoga. You have yamas and niyamas. Yamas are restraints, and niyamas are what uh, so restraining your breath can be a really powerful remedy for natives with Bharani planets. And just to end it all, I took you all through a journey, and this is where we began.
Yeah.
The nakshatra energy, the mythology, the deity symbols. We analyzed the themes and patterns of the dead spirits. Then we looked at space-time events of fertility. And we literally looked at delta spaces or literally geographical deltas, and then festivals and rituals. And all of this was done through the perspective of nakshatra awareness. So if there is one thing to take away, this is it.
Sandeep, I think this was absolutely a brilliant class. You have brought in a new concept that I would want to thank you for, where you brought in the new way of looking at nakshatras with keyword analysis. Okay, how you would talk about festivals, rituals, themes, patterns, space-time events. I think it was brilliant. I think this is a great tool or a framework for people that you presented today. And I'm very glad that you came today and you have presented this framework so that people can use this framework on all other nakshatras and be able to train and develop the system. Another insight that I, strangely looking at your conclusion, what I came across is you pointed out at, Bharani Nakshatra being associated with the tombs. Now, here is a fresh insight that I got when we're discussing about this is usually there are, some women or men who might have fertility related issues in their lives, okay, where
Right.
they're not able to bear children.
Right.
And there have been certain tombs of ancient saints that I have come across where when these people go and pray at that tombs, then they get children.
Interesting.
Right? I have come across certain instances where there is one saint, such saint, supposed to be, the tomb of the saint is supposed to be somewhere in Gujarat. And it was told in one of those, I came across that in one of those interviews where I was, interacting with somebody. He said, anybody who has been childless, that they take a mannat. Mannat is they take a oath and then they go there and visit the saint, the tomb of the saint, and they come back and they conceive. The women conceives, you know, even with cases where people have been childless for 10 years, 12 years, 15 years, 20 years, they still were able to conceive even after 20 years. So I see a very strong connection with Bharani Nakshatra being activated in their charts and the fertility aspect being activated in their charts. So thank you very much for bringing such great insights. I think this was a great class. And this would not be your last class. This would just be the beginning. We would bring you on more and more to teach us these concepts, these unique concepts. And I like this whole thing about Nakshatra Awareness. And I'm glad that you brought in the new dimension to Nakshatra education and Nakshatra teaching by bringing in festivals, rituals, themes and patterns, and space-time events. So thank you very much, Santhip. It was a great class. Thank you very much. You will be coming back more on this channel to teach us all some new insights. Okay. So thank you very much for your time, and hope to see you soon.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Pai. Thank you for all that you do. Continue to push us forward with our own Nakshatra research and our own Nakshatra knowledge through all your videos and everything. So thank you for that.
This is my only hope, that Nakshatras have been our foundation, and we have not understood Nakshatras. And this is my vision and hope, that by bringing people like you, Santhip, you would be able to open up new doors and new avenues for us to think of Nakshatras. And I'm glad that you are there, working with me on researches that we do together, so many discussions, so many new insights. The team is fantastic. So thank you very much for coming, Santhip. Okay.
I hope. Yeah, thank you. I hope the viewers find it beneficial and they begin to develop more knowledge themselves.
Yeah.
Since I'm literally a beginner, a baby in astrology.
We're all students. We are all beginners. So there is nothing to be worried about. Even I'm a beginner in terms of nakshatras. So let us use this as a platform. This new series that I'm starting. You being the first guest. This whiteboard series that I have started. I hope that there would be more guests who will be coming and enlightening you with such great insights that you get, and such great frameworks that these people are working on, and how they have used nakshatras. So this is great stuff, Santhip. Thank you very much. So
yep. I'm really looking forward to the rest of the videos, because we have some really great
yeah,
great.
Absolutely. Okay. Thank you, Santhip.
Yeah. Thank you, Dr. Pai.
Bye-bye.